Happy Friday. It is Friday, y'all. Friday, here we are. Are you super excited that it's Friday? I mean, hey, entrepreneurs, self-employed people, you might work 7 days a week, but there's no reason not to have fun on a Friday, right? So, hello everybody. How are we? Let me get my music down so y'all can hear me all the way. I will tell you exactly how I did all that here shortly. But first, hello, happy Friday. Patrick says, happy Friday, y'all. Hello, how's it going? Yes, I'm super excited. Eric says, happy Friday. What's going on? The artist Heaven says, happy Friday. Okay, you guys, here's what we're gonna do today. My name is Melanie Dyann Howe, and welcome to the Live Streaming Pros Friday stream. Now, some of you may know me, some of you may not know me. I've been on the show a couple times before, and I always have so much fun. You guys are so much fun, so amazing, and I am super excited to be here to share some stuff with y'all. So people kind of know me. The people that do know me that my motto is, hey, we have to start scrappy. We've heard this before. You got to start scrappy, right? But scrappy doesn't have to be crappy, right? So I'm all about figuring things out, hacking my way around things. I like to call myself a level 2 specialist. So in fact, I am using StreamYard today. So StreamYard is a level 2 application. If you're not sure what I'm talking about when I say level 2, Luria, of course, has got an amazing video about the different levels of stuff. But basically, level 1 is use your mobile phone and go live. Level 2 is using a browser-based application like StreamYard. Now, the one that Luria typically uses is Restream. That's how she multi-streams. There are other ones out there, of course, but those are browser-based, right? And then level 3, which Luria also uses, would be something that is software installed on your computer. That would be like Ecamm Live, vMix. There are others out there as well. And then, of course, level 4 is when you start introducing all the cool hardware and all the fun things like Stream Decks and A10 Minis and yada, yada, yada. I don't even know the names of those things, right? So I like to say I'm a level 2 specialist. I really like to try to maximize a level 2 application. So some of you that use level 2s know that it's very easy to use. It's a great way to get started with doing really great professional streams, like adding accessories, overlays, pulling up comments, all those fun things, right? But one of the things that us level 2 people get really jealous about is when we watch people like Luria do the dancing in the transparent countdown timer and playing music, right? So today I actually am using StreamYard. So we are streaming via StreamYard. However, I'm using OBS and I'm using the virtual camera on OBS. And that is what you're seeing. So I'm gonna tell you a little bit about my setup so that y'all can know what I'm using here. The reason I like to share this kind of stuff is because there are ways with a little bit of learning and technical, effort that you can use these level 2 applications and stretch them to their limits, right? And so I like to do that. I was on the show before and we talked about some different hacks that I like to, I'm pretty scrappy, as I said, right? So I definitely wanted to share those things with you, but there's another video on YouTube where we did a few of those things, but I wanted to share a few new things with you. I'm also gonna share a couple of updates to some things that are going on, but I also just want to talk to you guys about coming up with ideas for your streams, right? So if you have questions, you can certainly ask those questions. I know that I've got Kathleen who's going to be helping me out getting those questions. I will definitely be looking at the comments as well. And be here with me, right? Like, be here with me. You guys, let me be honest with you. I'm a little bit nervous. Like a little bit, right? Because here I am. I'm streaming here today. Luria it's Friday. She's got something going on. And I was like, let me do it. Right? Let me do it. So here I am hanging out with you, and it's going to be you and me today. We're going to have some fun. I am definitely going to tell you how I did what I just did, but also, as I said, I've got a few other things I want to share with you guys. So, John is in the house. Hello, John. John is a great guy, good friend. Definitely wanted to say hi to John for sure. So, Environmental Coffee House, definitely say hello to you as well. So, here's how I did this. Let me explain my setup. So, I am, just so y'all know, because I know sometimes people want to know that, right? I'm using the Sony a6100 with the wonderful Sigma 16 millimeter whatever thingy. Kathleen, give him the link to the lens because I can never remember what it's called. It's the one that Luria uses, the Sigma lens that helps us blur out this background, right? Has a really fast focus so we can move in and out. I love it. So I definitely started out just using a basic little webcam. And you guys saw that little webcam a second ago. Yes, you did. Let me just show you really fast. Once again, let me go to here. So this little guy right here, hi, that is the Logitech 922. And so it was my very first webcam. And that's what I used to use when I would record videos and go live and do streaming and whatever, right? Then I just slowly upgraded. I'm a big fan of adding and layering and upgrading as you go. Yes, thank you, Patrick. The Sigma 16mm f1.4 made for, of course, Sony E-mount, whatever thingies, right? So I'm technical. I know enough to be dangerous, everybody. But so that is the first camera I used. And then I upgraded to the Logitech Brio. Worked great for a long time. But then I decided to go ahead and after, of course, following Luria and learning, and I was like, I really want that blurry background. I really want that better camera. I want that better look. So I'm using the Sony a6100 with that Sigma lens. It is plugged into a cam link into my PC. I'm a PC user. So I'm also using OBS, as I mentioned, to control what you see. So for example, if I wanted to pull up one of my fun GIFs, I can. Hey, what's going on? Yeah, so that's there. But I'm also using the Elgato Wave 3 microphone. Now, if Doc Rock is here, he's got to say hi because I used to use a Blue Yeti and, Doc is not a big fan of the Blue Yeti, but I did get this Elgato Wave 3 because I really was curious about the software that comes with it. So I am using the Wavelink software that came with this microphone. So it's free software that comes with the mic. It's a USB microphone, okay? But the Wave 3, or this Wavelink software is essentially a virtual audio mixer, right? So some of you might be familiar with Voicemeeter, PC users, and then some of you might be familiar with Loopback for Macs, right? The Wavelink software essentially is similar but different. It's simpler, but it has some pretty cool features actually. So I'm a pretty big fan of it. From what I understand, Harris Heller sort of helped Elgato with some features that were in there. So Eric says, I love my Blue Yeti. To be honest with you, Eric, I actually didn't mind my Blue Yeti. I didn't love the size of it. It was really large. But I have definitely been playing around with different microphones. Somebody mentioned that they see the PodMic in the background, which is totally true. The PodMic is here. I'm still trying to get that thing to sound the way that I want it to. That's my first XLR mic, but we're not there yet, right? We're just kind of hanging out. But I really like this Elgato Wave 3. I know that when they very first came out, people had a few issues with them. The software maybe had a couple of bugs in it. I have actually been extremely pleased with this. Now, the software allows me to pump music into the software allows me to pump music into the stream. So let me just show you my screen really fast. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen using the StreamYard screen share because it's so freaking easy, right? Let me pull it up for y'all. Okay, so here is my screen on my other monitor. As you can see, here's OBS. This is what I'm using to control what you see, right? So I'm using the OBS virtual camera. And then when you open up Zoom or if you open up StreamYard or anything else, then you're going to be able to select, as long as you have your virtual camera turned on in OBS first, when you go open Zoom or anything, you're actually, when you go to select your webcam, you're going to see an option that says OBS virtual camera. And you're going to be able to use that to control what is viewed to to the end experience, right? And then you're going to select whatever microphone you're going to want to select. Now, with the Wave Link app, whenever I go to select my audio, my microphone, I actually select the Wavelink application, which is what you see here. Oh, my music's still playing. Let me go pause my music. Pause. Now, this is a really great feature. So sometimes we can't hear what's being streamed, We can't always hear what's going on over there. So this right here is your stream output, and then this is your monitor mix. So this is letting me know, hey, you can hear me talk, right? You can hear me talk. And if I play my music again, I can see the music is playing right here, but you aren't hearing it because it's turned down. But I can turn it up. What's up? I can also turn off the stream, which now it's muted. You don't hear it. And then I can turn it back on. I can also turn it down in my ears if it's distracting, but you still hear the music. And I know you still hear the music because the sound bars. So I really do like this application for the fun and how I can actually push music into a Wave or into a level 2 application. So it's actually pretty fun. I can have other microphones hooked up. As you can see, I do have a couple other microphones hooked up, but they are currently muted. So I have them muted right here where the stream signal is muted. That's muted. So if that was on, you'd be hearing me twice, right? So that's the Wave app, and that's how I control. So I had myself muted in the beginning, and I was playing music, and I was streaming it, right? So that's what we were doing. That's how I was doing that. Now, the timer, this is where there's probably a better way to do it, but this is the way that I have figured out to do it, right? This is the way that I have figured out to do it. So when we are in OBS, now, if you're brand new to OBS, you don't need to start here. You need to go learn about OBS and then maybe layer this in. But there's studio mode. So studio mode basically shows you a preview and it shows you what you're actually pushing out. So the program. I believe Ecamm now has this preview mode and things like that too. vMix, I believe, has the same thing. So here's what's really cool about it though, is I accidentally discovered this. So here I have different scenes and here's my countdown video, right? So I actually have multiple countdown timers. I have a 10-minute and a 5-minute. It's black right now, but if I were to fade this, use this fader, now I can just cut, right? Or I can transition. That's pretty simple, but it cuts it all the way. But if I use the fader, oh, it's gonna be like semi in there. So it's kind of in here, but it's kind of not. And so as long as we use this fader and I push out, so again, here's what you see right here. This is what you're seeing. So I mean, I sort of figured this out by accident, tinkering around. Again, I know you can actually have countdown timers inside of OBS. You can totally do that if you want to. And I 100% know that that's what you can do, but no. This is just the accidental way that I figured out how to do it, where I can customize. I designed the video in Canva. You could also use the countdown timers that Luria has as well. So I know Kathleen had a link up there earlier. So yeah. So Alia says, her mic is getting red, needs to move down in OBS. So I'm actually not using OBS to push the audio out. And OBS is, for whatever reason, uber sensitive. Do I sound super loud? I'm not sure if I do, but I don't think I do because I'm monitoring with Wavelink. So I can see my monitor in Wavelink. So yes, we should be good to go, right? We should be good to go. The other thing that's really cool about this microphone that I really like is that it has a clip guard on it. So if I am maxing out a little bit, or if I get really excited, which I tend to do, then it's gonna kind of squash that top level. It's not gonna max me out. It's not gonna totally like kill your ears, right? So I wanted to share that with you guys because I knew that a lot of people tend to think that we're really limited when we use these level 2 apps, but you can do all kinds of things. You might have to duct tape a couple solutions together, but I always just like to tinker and play around with stuff, and that's just what I enjoy doing. So that's how I figured out how to create the transparent GIFs of myself. I figured out how to do all kinds of fun things, and I enjoy that process. Not everybody enjoys that process, right? So one time somebody said to me, well, Melanie, if you're doing all that, why don't you just use something like OBS or vMix or something? Because they're way more complicated. I love the simplicity of these level 2 apps. I really do personally love the simplicity of it, and it's my preference. And so I like that I can literally just turn on the application, jump in here, and I can display comments. I can, do all kinds of stuff. Lynn says, you made the countdown timer in Canva. Can you teach us that? I wish I could, but I definitely don't have time today, right? Maybe another time, for sure. So I do have a hard stop at 2:00 today, just so you know, but as much as I want to hang out longer. So I'll answer this real fast. Yes, I do listen to myself in my headphones. I think that Luria does not do this. She doesn't mind it. I can't stand that clog feeling and that clog thing. The reason I'm wearing headphones, which by the way, these headphones are amazing. These are the same ones that Luria wears. I love them. I absolutely love them. They're clear. They're not as noticeable. I have short hair, so my headphones, you can see them, right? You can see them. With people with long hair, you can't see them so much. I need these. Now, the reason I'm wearing these is because anytime you're introducing any other audio into any of your streaming, whether you're just interviewing somebody or playing music like I am, you want to definitely eliminate your speakers because if anything's playing out of the speakers, it could get captured in the microphone, which is going to create that echo. So if you're ever like with somebody or interviewing somebody and your audience is saying, hey, there's an echo, it could be because you don't have headphones in. So that's why I always wear headphones. I do not wear headphones when I'm not introducing any other audio. So I have no need to, and I just don't need to wear them. But I do like to, if I have headphones in, I hear myself, and that is because that clog thing drives me crazy. I mean, like, I can't stand it. So yes, there you go. There's the answer to that question. Okay, so hey, what do you say I share a couple things with you, and then I'm going to jump into some questions because I think, if I'm not mistaken, we have a few questions coming in. Yep, we got some questions. So I'll see what we can do here, and I'll answer questions in the comments. I'm going to lean on my friend Kathleen to help me out with some questions in the queue as well. So, okay, so here's what we're going to do. I wanted to tell you guys about something that you may not be aware of. Who here uses the Blue Yeti Nano microphone? This guy. Who here uses this microphone? If Kevin McAleer were watching, he would say yes, because he uses this mic. So it's muted right now. But who uses the Blue Yeti Nano? The Nano, right? Not just the Yeti, but the Nano. And if you did, that is like $100 microphone. Yes, it's made by Blue. I actually think that's an amazing microphone. So Jennifer says she does. Fantastic. So Jennifer, I don't know if you are aware, but Blue came out with an application. They have the Blue Sherpa app, but they added an additional piece to the, oh, what do you know? Kathleen does too. So here's the deal. If you have this microphone, right? If you have this microphone already, they came out with something that's going to help you improve this mic. This is something really interesting. So let me see if I can get this to work. I'm going to try to get this to work. Let me share my screen because you guys got to see this. All right, so here is the Sherpa app, right? So if you have different microphones, you're going to have different ones set up. This is where you can update your firmware, which I always recommend you make sure your firmware is updated. All right, let me see. Let me pull up my Wavelink app. I had trouble with this one time before, but let me see if I can get this to work. All right, we're going to do a quick little thing. So here's what it is. I'm sorry, let me just show this to you first. This Blue Voice, if you click over here and you check mark it, it has all these additional settings now. This is something that we didn't have. You never had control. You had to have a different mixer or software to configure the Yeti Nano. But now they have this app, this add-on to the Sherpa app that's called Blue Voice. Now, it's not compatible with all microphones. It is not compatible with the regular Yeti at this time. But it is compatible with the Nano, and you have all these pre-built voice profiles, and you can customize it and set your own. I will tell you, I'm not an audio person, so I don't know what 90% of this stuff means. They do a really good job, and they give you a little checkbox here to see and try to, you can kind of learn what things are. But I'm gonna see if I can switch over to the Yeti Nano. So let me just do this really quick. Check. Okay, so you can hear me. This is why it's loud. This is why I really like this app or this Wavelink software, because I can see that you can hear me right now, right here, right? So that's actually something that's great, because if you know how it is when you're streaming and you're trying something, you can't hear what they hear. But I can also I can actually switch right here if I wanted to. You see these little ear marks, these ear signs? I can turn the volume down, but I can also listen to what you are hearing by clicking on this too. So that's actually a really cool feature as well. So right now you're hearing the Blue Yeti Nano. So that's what you're hearing right now. Now, check this out. I'm on Broadcaster 1, but then when we go to Broadcaster 2, it's going to sound different. If we go to AM radio, it's going to sound different. If we go to FM station, it's going to sound different, right? Warm and vintage, that's going to sound different. So Broadcaster 1. Now we can also go in and adjust all these things that we want, and then we can save that preset. You can also adjust the output level of your microphone, which, as you all probably know, the Yeti does not have the dial that the Yeti Nano does not have the dial that the Yeti has that allows you to adjust the gain. You can adjust the gain if you use this application right here. So even if you're not using an app like this, if you're using the Yeti Nano, you should make sure you have the Blue Sherpa downloaded to your system and check this software out and play around with the different profiles, because it's definitely really interesting, right? So if you have the Yeti Nano, you definitely want to check that out, right? Tech coach, I want to do a stream in AM radio mode, right? Like it literally kind of sounds like an AM radio. Like how interesting that is. Like really, I thought this was fascinating. I didn't necessarily fall in love with any of these presets, but explain gain really quickly. So gain is essentially adjusting the output volume of the microphone. So if you listen, when I turn this gain down, you are not going to be able to hear me very well. In fact, pretty quiet. But if I turn it back up, you're going to hear me. Now here's where gain is important. Microphones that require you to have the gain all the way up can sometimes bring in background noise. That's one of the things that the Yeti Nano people complain about. But the problem is that I think that people don't put the Yeti microphone close enough to their mouth. I actually think that it's a great podcasting microphone. So if we turn the gain down and I get really close to the microphone, like really close, like this, then you're going to hear a different kind of sound, right? So it's definitely different. So when we change the gain, then you're going to hear a different volume. So again, get out of radio mode. Yeah. It's annoying, isn't it? So literally the reason why you couldn't hear me is because I turned the gain down. So it's really just the output volume that you're controlling for the microphone. You ideally want to have the gain as low as possible, but that might require you to be closer to the microphone. So even my Elgato Wave, if I get really close to it, it's going to sound totally different. So a lot of times I find that the reason why people don't like their blue microphones, their blue Yetis, is because they're not using it correctly, to be totally honest with you. Now, is it the greatest microphone on earth? Absolutely not. In fact, if you're going to go buy a new USB microphone, I would suggest you buy the Elgato Wave 3, because it comes with this other application and it's the same price. So I definitely think that anymore, the Yetis are a difficult purchase for me. They're huge, they're bulky, they do okay, but there's other microphones on the market that are even cheaper that do a great job, right? So I wanted to share that with you guys because I don't think a lot of people know about this mic or this software that came with the mic. So let me switch. All right, we're back over to the Elgato Wave 3. So we're back to the Wave 3. So let me make sure I'm good here. Dialed in. Yes, we sound good. Hello, Sammy. Sammy's here. Okay, let me also tell you guys that one of the other things that I wanted to tell you that I wanted to encourage you to do. So I don't know if you guys caught. So Luria did a stream with Owen Video, right? Is that his name? Owen Video? Is that it? I think that's it. Sorry. Anyway, they talked about countdown timers, and they did this like cool little back and forth thing, the countdown timers, the battle of should you do a countdown timer, should you not? I would highly recommend you watch that video because there were some amazing points made. Amazing points. And so I would definitely check that out. However, one of the things that they talked about was you should not have a long countdown timer unless you can add some sort of engagement or entertaining factor. And I couldn't agree more. So I do think that having a short countdown timer is great. And the reason for it is to make sure your streams kind of sync up. So if you're multi-streaming to YouTube, to a Facebook group, to a Facebook page, for example, to LinkedIn, wherever, those streams, like when you say go live inside of whatever app you're using to go live, the moment you hit go live, the YouTube might pick it up first, and then 30 seconds later, Facebook might pick it up, right? That actually happens. So when you use a countdown timer, it makes sure that you're not going to start talking before one of those platforms picks you up. Plus, it's kind of awkward when you're like, not sure who's picking up the live, right? Not sure if I'm live on YouTube yet or Facebook yet. So I'm going to just sort of be weird for a second because I don't want to start talking because I don't want to be cut off. So that countdown timer actually is pretty good for making sure that you're actually live on the platforms, right? That's good for a short countdown timer. Okay. Now, when it comes to a longer countdown timer, I think you definitely want to have some sort of engaging factor, a reason, whether it be you have a question up on screen and you're prompting somebody to do that, your audience to do something while the countdown's going on. Maybe you're in the comments commenting, there. But also, that's why Luria's countdown is so fun, right? Of course, now that I have figured out how to do this transparent countdown timer, I love to dance as well. I love music. I'm a super big music person. I freaking love it. I also like to get jazzed up before I go live. And my audience, just like you guys, have kind of become accustomed to it. But before, I was using these longer countdown videos and they were just a video and it was like music. But now that the transparent countdown is there, I go a little longer with it and it's just really a warm up for all of us. But one of the things that you can do if you are using a level 2 application that has this feature, and I believe Restream has this, and now StreamYard has it, you can share, you can use it's called video share. You can actually share a video file that's on your computer. And when you do that, you can still be on screen when that timer is going. So let me show you what I mean. So I'm going to share a video file on my system. And I'm going to open that up. And here it is. So this is just a video file that I am playing that's on my computer. But you can still see me, right? I could be here with you, maybe getting ready, doing some behind the scenes stuff. I can use this view if I want. So this is a way for you to actually have a countdown going while you're on screen. So if you don't want to mess with OBS and that transparency and all that craziness, this is another way that you could potentially introduce a countdown timer, but still be on screen so that you're offering some sort of reason for people to actually be hanging out during a countdown. Right? So I kind of wanted to throw this at you. This is it's not really a hack. I mean, it's a hack. It's a workaround. It's just a different way to utilize a feature. And I don't see a lot of people doing it. And I think that this would be a great thing. Now, if you have something like voice meter, loopback, or this wave link, or some fancier version of a way to pump music into your stream, but you don't want to mess with, again, the transparent countdown timer or the level 3 applications or any of those things, well, if you use StreamYard, and again, like I said, I think Restream does this too, but StreamYard makes it super easy. When you go down to share your screen, you now have an option of video, and you select a video that's on your computer, and here is the same file, essentially, that I used before, and it's there. So I could be dancing, and I could be playing music, like if I really wanted to, right? Like I could be hanging out with you, and I could be playing music. See? So you could do the same thing, and when you can toggle all those different views when you use the video share. So, hey, there you go, right? So there's a way for you to have a longer countdown and be on screen without having to deal with all that crazy stuff, right? So you don't have necessarily you don't need or want to use those other things, then here you go. Here's your workaround that I wanted to share with you guys today. So, John says, it looks like Wavelink will only work if you have one of their mics connected. I can't get it to work. Correct. I should have said that. The Wavelink app, as of right now, does not work unless you have one of the Elgato Wave microphones. There's a Wave 1 and there's a Wave 3. They are very similar. The Wave 1 is a little bit less. It doesn't cost as much, but it's a great microphone. The Wave 3 has a few more controls and stuff. Great microphone. You do have to have an Elgato Wave 1 or an Elgato Wave 3 to use the Wavelink app. I apologize. I probably should have made that super specifically clear. So my bad. But there are other alternatives to this. So there's voice meter. I want to say Luria has a video on that too. And then there's loopback. Those are two alternatives that you might want to look into to check those out. And I know that StreamYard has a video about voice meter. So if you go to their YouTube channel, you can learn about voice meter as well. So this is actually really important. So when you have an Elgato Wave 1 or Wave 3, you can use the Wavelink app. You can hook up other microphones, as you saw I did, to the app. So you can use it as a virtual mixer. You can control Spotify. You can control your browser volume. You can control you can have another application running, and you can control that. You can add other microphones and add them to the Wavelink, and you can control those, just like I was earlier. So yes, you can have multiple microphones, but you have to have one of the Elgato Wave mics for it to work on your system. It will not let you install it, essentially. So there you go. Okay. All right. Let's talk a little bit really quickly. I wanted to talk to you guys about coming up with ideas. So here's the thing. I am a big believer that you go live and you grab your phone and you go live, right? You grab your phone and you just start going live. That's the best way to do it. And that's the way to get started, because you're going to let your audience get used to you. Now, I will say that you should definitely invest in a tripod. That is the minimum that you need. I will say, even if you go buy one of those $10 tripods, buy a tripod, right? You're going to be happy. If you don't buy a tripod, you're going to need to do something where you stack it up on some books and whatnot, right? So there are definitely some pros and cons to using a tripod, not using a tripod, and all the things. But when you're going into a level 2, you can start adding different types of show formats and how you go live, right? And so when you add these different formats to your shows, one, I think it helps you come up with new ideas. And two, it creates a whole different level of entertainment and engagement for your audience, right? So for example, you could do an interview. Now you can actually now do interviews on your phone. So if you go live on your phone, you can actually do an interview there. So when you go live, you can bring someone on stream with you and you could do an interview that way, right? It's not as easy to use as you're using a computer with a level 2 application. When you use Restream, Ecamm Live, which is not level 2, my bad, StreamYard, the other one that I'm not going to mention, you can use those and they make it very easy to do interviews. You can have multiple people on screen. And when you do this, when you bring people on, so when you interview people, it does two things. One, it's actually going to expand your reach because interview style videos tend to actually stop the scroll, because even if you're going live regularly, all of a sudden you've got like somebody on screen with you, your audience is like, whoa, 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 who's she talking to? Who's she talking to? And so it tends to be, and you're adding another layer of, here's the thing, our audiences can get sick of us. You know? And so when you bring somebody else to the table, then you're going to actually give them more value. And here's what I say. What's a subject matter expert you can bring to the table? Luria brought in Doc Rock one time, and he talked about microphones. He's kind of like a microphone geek and audio person, right? Luria knows enough to be dangerous, right? But it's not what she fully geeks out on. So she brought in an expert. Plus, she knew that he would be entertaining for you guys and very valuable. And so we all found that live stream extremely valuable. We learned about all these different mics and which ones are good and which ones aren't, right? And so that was awesome. Who can you bring in? What's a subject matter expert that you can bring in? Who's a customer you can interview? Here's the other fringe benefit to interviewing people, okay? The other fringe benefit is when you interview somebody and you can show that you can have guests on your streams, you are more likely to get asked to be a guest on someone else's stream. Because as live streamers, as podcasters, as all the things, we want to make sure that that person we bring on to our show is going to be engaging, offer value, maybe jive with our personality a little bit. And so when we can see them in action, especially if we can see them that they're interviewing somebody else, then we kind of know they get it, right? They get it. They are going to probably be a really good guest because they've had guests. And so you're more likely to get asked to be on somebody else's stream when you actually have guests in your show too. And the reason why this is great is because when you're a guest in somebody else's show, it expands your reach, right? A lot of you know me now. Some of you follow me. Some of you are in my Facebook group. Some of us, we get to hang out like virtually all the time, right? And that is because Luria had me on the show. It expanded my reach. I got to know new people. And then I was on somebody else's show. And then I got to know new people, right? And then StreamYard came to me and said, hey, we would like you to create content for us. Will you be on our show? Great. None of that would have happened if I wasn't willing to go be on somebody else's show. But that may not have happened. People may not have asked me if I wasn't going live regularly and if I wasn't having guests on my own show. So there's a fringe benefit to it. So I would like for you to sit down today and think about who can you have on your show? Subject matter experts, partners. When I say subject matter expert, it could be someone in your field. It could be someone in your industry. It's no secret. Luria and I both help people with live video, but we are different, right? We're all different. So don't be threatened by people in your industry. Bring them on. You can actually geek out about the same stuff and it could be really cool. And the people that maybe don't like you as much and they may like the other person, well, that's fine. They're a better fit for them and not you, and that's okay. We got to get over that, right? So who can you bring on that's either in your industry or a subject matter expert that maybe has knowledge that you don't have that you know your audience is going to care about, right? So I'm going to actually have somebody on my show here in a couple weeks who's going to talk about OBS, because my audience knows I've been using OBS. My audience also knows that I don't know crap about OBS. I've barely scratched the surface on it. So he's going to come on and explain what the heck OBS is and how we can use it, incorporate it into our level 2 software, right? So that's because I can't geek out on it, but he can. Exactly. Nobody knows everything. Exactly. So here's the deal. Who can you bring on that you can bring into your show? And then also be thinking about this. Even better, would it be a good fit for you to be on their show? Because I like mutually beneficial relationships where you come on, they come on your show, and then you get to go on their show, right? That actually is the best kind of relationship to figure out too. So come up with some ideas for that. Now, other things that I want you to think about. When you use a level 2 software, you can add a whole different experience to your streams. You can share your screen. I just did a tutorial. I shared some behind the scenes with you, behind the scenes technically, meaning on the other screen. I showed you how I was doing certain things with applications, right? But I also added that camera. I'll talk about that in a second. But sharing your screen and doing a tutorial, maybe you could do a live review of something. I have a friend, Crystal Prophet. She teaches podcasting. She does live podcast reviews. She will literally, people submit their podcast to her. She pulls their audio up. She shares the screen and she listens and streams out the podcast. And she listens to it and then she gives it a review and she talks about what to do different or what they did really great. And she does this live. What kind of live review can you do, right? The other thing you can do is share PowerPoint slides or Google Slides or keynotes. You can actually do webinars or presentations or whatever, right? So share your screen. Don't be afraid to do that. You can also share video files, like I said. So one of the things that I also love to do is, like, let's say you're a cook or something, or, you know, maybe you're teaching something, but there's a pre-process and you don't want to do the pre-process live because it's messy or it takes a long time or it's in a whole different room than where you stream. Record a video of it, describe it, pull that video and play that video on stream. You can actually play these videos and say, all right, now I'm going to show you really quickly in a video what I did to get to this point. But that's it, because that happens out in the garage. And then you just play that video. So do that, right? So you can add video, you can add slides, you can share your screen. This adds a whole different level of experience to your audience. And again, I do not see people playing videos midstream. I just don't see enough people doing this. And I think that it's because they're not thinking of it. So for example, if you find yourself answering the same question over and over and over again, and you don't want to do it live because maybe it's cumbersome, then record a short little explainer video, and then you can play that video midstream if you want, right? So love that idea. Now, the other thing I was going to say is when you have multiple cameras, you can actually add a whole different level of experience as well to your stream. So there's a cooking show. These guys follow me and I taught them, and I think I talked about this in my hack video with Luria. We talked about adding a second camera. Now, if you're using OBS virtual camera, then it's really easy to switch between the camera views. But you can also, in Restream and StreamYard, I think all of the level 2 applications, you can also either use your phone and basically connect as a guest, use your phone, or if you have another webcam hooked up to your computer, then you can actually just open another browser window, enter the studio again, and then you can add that camera into the stream. Now, why would you want to use this? Well, let's say that you want to talk to your audience, but you're drawing a picture, or you're showing how you paint something. You could have a camera up above you shining down, right? And you could see, and you could show that. Kevin McAleer, who's one of the viewers here that a lot of times shows up, he actually does this now. He does this top-down view of him sketching stuff, right? And so having that other camera angle allows people to see a different view. Now, Luria does this all the time. She's got the Abby cam, right? So it just kind of changes things up. I've thought about making a lava lamp cam. Do you guys think I should have a lava lamp cam? I've thought about it. I've really thought about it. So what I want you to think about, though, is what are some different show types that you can create where you're doing demonstrations, where you're actually still looking at and you're talking to your audience, but you're using a different camera angle as well. And you have both of those up on screen. I saw this one time, a coffee shop owner did this. He had it where the camera was looking at him, but then he had a camera over on like where they were actually making the espressos, right? And so there was that. And I loved that idea. I loved how he was still talking about what was going on, but yet you could still watch them make the coffee at the same time. So there's an idea for you too. So I run into this problem where people have a hard time coming up with ideas and people struggle with it. And so I came up with a big list of ideas. Kathleen, I don't know if you guys can find it on my website. It's at melaniedyann.com. You can grab that 50 list of ideas there, but there's different categories of engaging styles of live videos, and it's got 50 ideas in it, right? And so you need to come up with your own content plan. If you didn't catch it before, Stephanie Liu did an amazing live video about content strategy. And so one of the ways that you can come up with those ideas is to think about your frequently asked questions and your should have asked questions. How can you answer those questions? And using, but don't just grab, I want you to start to level up. How can you take it to the next level? So maybe there's a frequently asked question. Can you do tutorial? Can you show behind the scenes? Can you do a PowerPoint presentation to have some slides to give a little extra interest, right? So definitely explore these other applications so that you can do all these things in Ecamm and all this stuff too. You know that, but it's all about the content. I'm telling you right now, The fancy stuff does not matter if you don't have good content. And so you got to come up with those ideas for sure. Okay, so I'm going to get to some questions because I'm going to get in trouble if I don't. I better get to questions, right? All right, let me pull this bad boy up. Okay, so George asks, why does your video look better with better quality resolution on Facebook Live than mine if you're using the same camera and lens? Okay, so George, this is the deal. So I'm using StreamYard, and we should be streaming. Let me check. Yes, we are not. We are streaming in 720 right now. So over on my channel, I stream in 1080 to YouTube and to Facebook. However, I will tell you right now that the Facebook videos are not 720 because at least not as of yet, I have not been given 1080 ability via Facebook. So StreamYard pushes out this quality. Now, there's a couple things that affect quality of your stream. The number one thing is internet speed. So you got to have really good internet, or it doesn't matter what application you're using. So there's that. The other thing is that the power of your computer. So sometimes if your computer's not very powerful and you're running a lot of different equipment, maybe multiple apps at the same time, the power of your computer can also diminish the output that's happening. So I always like to say that isn't the most fun answer, because if your computer is not powerful enough, it means you need to go make an investment. The other one is internet speed. Now, internet, you want to make sure you have good internet speed. You can do speed checks. But the other thing is to make sure you're hardwired in. Always make sure you're hardwired in. But so most of the apps that allow you to stream, especially if you're on a free plan, it is only going to stream and push out in 720. That is that. Now I personally am a pro user, so I stream out in 1080. So if you go to my channel, my YouTube, you're seeing 1080. Is it a fully true 1080 signal? Not necessarily, but it's the best we can do. Now, the other thing I will say is that, depends on how your camera's hooked up. As long as you're hooked up using like a cam link and you're not using the apps, the background apps. So for example, Canon has the EOS Canon webcam utility app. Sony has a webcam utility app. Those applications right now are diminishing our resolution as well. So if you're using one of those, then it might be diminishing your resolution too. So that could be the problem too. So let's see here. Eric says, what do you do about mic versus camera lag? Here's the deal. I don't have the problem. Like, I'm so excited about it. I have had this problem with other apps. I would say probably a couple years ago, even early last year, the apps, I think sometimes still had lag. I think there was still an issue, but I don't have a problem anymore. I just never have the issue. I don't have that sync issue. I used to have the problem all the time. I used to go live on my phone and I had like a fancy microphone that I hooked up to it to use. And I would always have audio sync issues when I did that. Sometimes when I would stream and I had I was using a USB mic, a different mic than my camera, sometimes I'd have latency issues. I just simply don't have the issue anymore. So I don't do anything about it. But I know that sometimes people do. And there are, like, I think in Ecamm, for example, I think there's even a setting that you can set to make sure that you don't have that problem if you do. Okay, so let me see here. Images by Gretchen says, really rookie question. How the heck do you avoid that Hall of Mirrors thing that happens when trying to share my screen or a site? Hall of Mirrors. I've never... That's actually another really fun way to describe it. Sometimes we call this inception. So for example, if I were to share my screen, what she's talking about is if I were to share my screen and share this with you, you would get the Hall of Mirrors. Oh, see that? So that we sometimes call that inception too. But how do you ever here? The only time that really happens is when you're sharing what you're streaming with, right? There's really no way to get rid of it. There's really no way. Honestly, there are. I'm sure you could come up with a way, but it's not a rookie question, by the way, because I don't know how to get rid of that. But there are ways. I think there are ways. You just have to make sure that maybe you pull up a different screen that's like the same application, but you're not in it at the time. So that's why we run into that now. Also having two monitors. So, making sure that when you're sharing a screen, I always recommend a second monitor. If you don't have a second monitor, then what you're going to need to do is you're going to have to minimize your app, meaning make it smaller, and then have whatever app you want to share, have that also in the window. And then when you go to share your screen, a lot of times these applications will say, do you want to share your screen or do you just want to share the application window? In this case, you would share the application window, right? Okay. All right. Good question. Here we go. Another question. Okay, so the artist Haven says, I need that audio thingy for when I use my blower or my air compressor. What are you using to monitor your audio again? My puppy is in the studio with me today, so I missed it. I'm using the Wave Link application, and it comes with the Elgato Wave 3 or the Elgato Wave 1 microphone. So it's software. It's a virtual audio mixer. You could also look into Voicemeeter for PCs and Loopback for Macs. Those are the alternatives as well, for sure. Okay, next. Let me see here. Do you use a mic booster with your PodMic? Great question. Yeah, I'm going to have to, right? So here's the deal. This is the PodMic. Let me pull it over here. Let me pull this thing over here. By the way, I'm not a big fan of the blue compass because it never wants to hold anything up. I feel like it does. I don't know if this is going to work. Is it going to work? We'll just see if it works. Hold on. Can you hear me? Yes, you can hear me. So this is the PodMic right now. And it is 1.5 inches from my mouth. Like, it is really close. So it sounds pretty good when I'm this close, but I don't like to have it this close. I don't want it this close. And so for me, I'm going to have to get a cloud lifter, right? Or a booster, right? And so that's going to basically create gain from the microphone. It's going to boost the audio output. So it's a dynamite stick it's literally called a cloud lifter. So I am going to have to get that, right? I think it sounds great, but do you see all this right here? I don't want all this in my face when I'm talking to you, especially when I'm streaming. Too close. You're popping. Yeah. So Daniel, that's the other thing I'm not in love with this microphone is it has a really bad plosive. So again, I need to be further away. I probably want it down here. And I need to be like probably talking over the microphone, which now you can barely hear me, right? So I'm going to have to get a cloud lifter. That's why. So yeah, I like the mic. It's little, it's cute. It's a Rode. It feels fancy. It feels very good quality. It's heavy. It's a great microphone. It's a great microphone. I do not love the plosives, so it has a really bad plosive. By the way, that's one thing I like about this Elgato Wave 3 is the plosives aren't near as bad. I'm talking and I'm not popping as much, right? Let me see here. That's an interesting one. Clark Technic CT1 or CM2. Cool. Thanks for the suggestion. Yeah, I've never heard of those. Let me go back to my questions. Let me see here. Oh, so Silver Lining wants to know how far I am from my camera. I'm an arm's length, literally an arm's length away. I mean, I can touch it, and my arm is fully extended. So, and I'm 5'7", so that's how long my arms are. So I'm about an arm's length away. Now, before I got this lens, I used the kit lens that came with the Sony a6100. I did not take Luria's advice. And I said, I'll be fine with the kit lens. It's cheaper. Got the kit lens. Totally had lens envy. I had that blurry background envy. The other thing I was running into with the kit lens was I was having what's called, oh crap. Kathleen, help me out. It's where you get the shutter, the little bit of shutter. Like it was like doing this weird little flickering behind me. And it wasn't because of my lights. I took my sign down. I did it without lights. It was just for whatever reason. I don't know if I got a bad lens or what, but it constantly had this little flutter and it drove me crazy. And, but the one thing I was worried about with the Sigma lens is that the kit lens is, has a zoom on it. And so you can have the camera on the back of your desk and then you can move it, zoom it in, zoom it out. Or, some of these fixed lenses, you have to literally you're like, oh man, it's too close. Now I got to put the camera further back or I got to move it closer, whatever. And I was nervous about it being not the right depth. I took the kit lens off. I also was worried about it bringing in too much of my background. So if I were to angle over here, you would see that the door to my garage is right behind me, right? And so I didn't want to bring in too much of my background, and I knew that this was a wide angle lens. So I unhooked it and I put it on and I turned it on and I didn't move the camera yet. And I was like, it was exactly the same. It was the exact same view, except way better. Now, here's the other reason why I think this lens is so much better than the kit lens is that this lens actually is great with low light. So I want to have these fun lights behind me. So that means it needs to be a little bit, my room needs to be kind of dark, whatnot. I'm using a ring light, by the way, in front of me. So I'm just using the newer 18-inch ring light. Nothing fancy in front of me, not right now. But the old lens, the kit lens, I had to have the ISO up to it was like 2200 for me to be visible. With the Sigma, I think it's on like 250 right now. So the ISO. So what happens is when you have to bump that ISO up, you're going to be a little grainier on screen. And that was actually something I was like, man, I'm not really pleased with this. I used to have the Canon M50, and I actually was like, I kind of like the Canon M50 better because I don't have this grainy look. But it was because my ISO was so up and all the other things. So it actually allows you to have a much better quality picture. So if you're thinking about upgrading your camera to one of these Sony cameras, listen to me. Do not just buy the body and get the Sigma lens. I highly recommend it. I wish I did. Now I have a kit lens that's like sitting in a box and never going to be used. So there you go. Shutter or jitter. Thank you. Jitter or shutter. Okay. So the capture card that I'm using is the Camlink 4K. The basic Camlink 4K. That's the capture card that I'm using. John Pullum asked that question. Okay, so Lapub Pataya, I hope I said that right, says, I love the fact that you're standing. Could you talk about the advantages of standing versus seated presentation? I love this question. So I really like this question because here's why I stand. A lot of times I stand because I have more energy when I stand. I literally tend to play around. I dance, I move. You can see me, I just have more energy. When you sit down, a lot of us naturally don't have as much, we're not going to be as animated, right? I'm a high energy person. Anybody that's been following me for a while knows that that's like my superpower. I'm just high energy. I enjoy being energetic. That also drives some people crazy, right? Literally drives some people crazy. It drove my mom crazy growing up. I know that, right? But I tend to have more energy and I can bring it when I stand. It allows me to dance. Like I like to dance in the beginning. Sometimes I do stream or I do stuff sitting down. Now here's one disadvantage if you're going to sit down. You need to make sure you have a very quiet chair. So sometimes when we sit, sometimes we actually make more noise because we fidget or we move. I actually find that I fidget when I sit. And the other disadvantage is that when I'm sitting, I have a desk that goes up and down. It goes up and down. And when I'm sitting, the desk, because of the thing that's underneath it and the shelf I have here, is a little higher than I need it to be for my chair. I need my chair to be like 3 inches higher. So a lot of times I sit on my feet and then that gets uncomfortable, because I want to be high enough in the frame. So there's that. But the disadvantage to standing is you need to make sure that the length of your stream, you're going to be able to be okay standing that entire time. That is something you have to think about. So if you're when Luria did the Streamapalooza, I think we were live for like 3 hours and I was live the whole time and we were standing the whole time. And when I was done, it was great. It was fun. But when I was done, I was like, whoa, my legs were swelling. You guys, I just turned 40. Like I'm getting there. Now I'm like, my legs are swelling because I stood for 3 hours. Like it's like ridiculous, right? But you have to think about that too when it comes to standing. The other thing is, as I mentioned, I tend to just be able to just do more. I feel more natural, right? So you got to decide what works for you. That's what I would say. Not everybody likes standing and not everybody likes sitting. So you just figure out what you want to do. Okay, so Coffee Talk and Tech asks a question. I think that we're talking about audio again. They say, do you have to set an offset sync with OBS when streaming with StreamYard? I find I must use 500 milliseconds. I do not, because I do not use the audio out from OBS. But I do know that when I use OBS to record videos, so I use OBS to record my videos like that I create for YouTube and whatnot, like for StreamYard when I create videos for them. And I do have that sync issue, the latency. Mine is not quite 500. It just depends on your microphone, your cables, and whatnot. But I do not when I stream. I don't have any issues when I stream. I just use StreamYard. I select for my camera, I select OBS virtual camera. And then for audio, I just literally select my microphone right inside StreamYard. So I'm not outputting you. I think there's an update to OBS where now there's like a virtual audio out, but there wasn't before. But either way, I use the mic directly into StreamYard and my mic is my wavelength stream. So that's a good question though. Cosman says, what can I do if I find I don't have great internet connection cabled in? You gotta get better internet. I don't know. And some people are in rural areas and they can't get better internet. But I don't know. You could potentially, sometimes I know in rural areas, people's cell phone hotspot works better than the internet that they have. You could try that too, but I don't love that idea. I hate that. Andy K wants to know which ones, the headphones I'm using. Kathleen, I believe, posted that link before, but these are the Me. Are they Me? I forget. But I like them because they're clear. Now, there's a couple other brands that have clear ones. Like Shure has a set of clear ones. They're like $90. These are like $20. They're fine. The only thing I will say is when you buy them, if you're going to stand, you're going to want to get an extension cable because it's only like, this thing's like 3 feet, right? And so if I'm dancing, that is not enough room for me. I need to be like doing all kinds of fun stuff, right? So I would say if you're going to be standing and you want these, go ahead and get with it like a 6 foot or 10 foot extension cable that could go along with it too. Let's see here. Oh, so Coffee Talk and Text says, are you at full shot, scene, or cropped? I am full shot. This is full shot. I'm not cropped in at all. This is it. This is what you see with the camera lens. Let me see here. La, la, la. Do you know if you can use the 16 millimeter Sigma lens on a Panasonic G85? I have no idea. I wish I knew the answer to that. Kathleen, I wonder if you know, is the Sigma lens, does that work on the Panasonic? Our tech coach. We could ask our tech coach, right? Okay. The Camlink 4. What is the Camlink used for? What is it? The Gutsy Guru wants to know. So here's the deal. The Camlink, so when we use DSLR cameras or mirrorless cameras, which technically they're different, right? So when you go to plug that into a computer, it's not going to be like you're going to go select webcam and you're going to be like, hey, webcam, pick my new fancy camera or my fancy DSLR. And you're going to be like, where is it? It's not going to show up. So in order for your computer to recognize your DSLR or your mirrorless camera, most cameras, there are some newer ones on the market that actually are recognized now. But most of these cameras, it has to have a capture method. And there are multiple capture methods. One capture method is to use a capture card that is literally installed in your computer. So like a slot that goes in your computer. There are some capture cards that are like, you basically just plug it into the HDMI input and you're like, you're good to go, right? However, most of us don't have those and we don't need those. So the Camlink is this little thing that goes into it's got a USB connection right here, right? That goes into your computer, and then your HDMI cable from your camera goes into the back. And what this thing does is it basically, think of it like magic. It just says, dear computer, now recognize this fancy camera as a webcam, blah, 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 right? So that is essentially what it does. It allows your computer to recognize it as a webcam. So I would definitely, you're going to need to get one of those if you're going to, be using one of these DSLRs or mirrorless cameras. The other method is that, for example, if you have a Canon, they came out with a webcam utility app that you can install on your computer. You literally go and you install it and then it like disappears and you're like, what? Well, it's broken. It doesn't work. Well, it's working. It's just a background app that you don't even ever see nothing. You don't see anything happening with it. When you install that app, then you go to StreamYard or Zoom, right? And when you go to select, as long as your camera's on and you go to select webcam, you're going to see EOS webcam utility app. And you select that and it's going to be your camera. That is software that's basically doing the same thing. However, Sony has it now. I think Nikon now has it. I do not remember if Panasonic does, and Canon has it. They all came out with these because last year people were like, I can't buy a webcam, but I got this fancy camera, and everybody was wanting to use these cameras to live stream, also to use them on virtual meetings. And so the camera companies came out with this software so that your computer could recognize it. However, the disadvantage to going that way many times is that it's going to downgrade your resolution. So it's not going to output as high as good of a quality of a picture. Goodness, you guys, it's Friday. It's just not going to be as good a quality, right? It's because it's going to downgrade your resolution. So there's a disadvantage to that for sure. So there you go. All right, my friends, it's like 2:00. Was this fun? Did you guys like this? I know it's not the same. I am not Luria. I could never be Luria. No one is as amazing as Luria, right? But I do appreciate you guys letting me kind of take over today, hang in here with you guys, and share some of my Scrappy tips, but also answer some of your questions. This was fun for me, and I hope it was fun for you guys. I would love to stay on and keep answering your questions. I'll tell you what, I'll try to pop back in the comments maybe later today or tomorrow and answer a few of the things that maybe I wasn't able to get to. But I got to run. I got a hard stop at 2:00 today. It's Friday. Go do something amazing, right? Go do something. Go try something new. I'd love to see you all have a lot of fun out there, and just make sure you are subscribed to the Live Streaming Pros channel. And there's that little notification bell. Make sure you click on that, because whenever Luria uploads a new amazing tutorial, you want to make sure that you know it's there, right? And at the same time, whenever she's live, you don't want to miss it. So make sure that you are following the page on Facebook, and do the same thing. Click on the notifications so that you get those notifications when she goes live or when she uploads new content to the YouTube channel. So, all right, you guys, this was a lot of fun. Thank you so much for having me. I'm going to get out of here. You guys go have an awesome day. And don't forget, you got to start scrappy, right? But scrappy does not have to be crappy.